Hi, my name is Pat, and this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I'm glad that you're here. So this is part 3 of my question and answer videos in response to the lovely questions that you left for me on my gratitude video, which was my gratitude for your help in getting me over the 1,000 subscriber milestone. So in volume 2, I was responding to MJ's questions, and I thanked her for her questions, but I actually only read one of her questions. So I want to go back. I want to revisit that and ask MJ's second question. Her first question was about my guilty pleasures of YouTube channels that I watch. And her second question was, what other hobbies besides BookTube do I enjoy? And that is basically going to the gym. I go to the gym 6 days a week. I'm not sure if it's a hobby exactly, but it's a big part of my life. Okay, sorry I skipped that, MJ, on the last video. So next, I wanted to respond to Ellen at Ellen Made Book Club, who asked a number of questions, and I'm going to try to respond to all of them. So one of her questions actually relates to the question I just answered for MJ, and that is, what is my workout routine at the gym? Well, because I go to the gym so frequently, I do definitely have a system. I do a little bit of cardio every day, but I devote a day to upper body. I devote a day to legs. I devote a day to exclusively to cardio, and then I repeat, and I take only one day out of the week off completely, where I don't go to the gym. It's keeping me young at heart. Okay, so Ellen had a bunch of really thoughtful questions beyond my workout routine at the gym. She asked how many books I have, as close as I can to an estimate, and I have no idea. I have books everywhere in my house, and I have boxes and boxes of books in the basement that I can't even really access. I just have no idea. I guess I could go count a shelf and then multiply by all the shelves that I have. But most of the shelves are double booked. I'm sorry. I have no idea. I'm guessing in the low thousands, but I'm really not sure. Okay. This was a really interesting question. Ellen said, in response to somewhere in one of the videos, I guess in the gratitude video, where I talked about booktubers who were essential to helping me get going and then get back on my feet after I got knocked down. So in response to that, Ellen asked, if Angelia, Michael, Steve, and MJ were books, which ones would they be? Loosely interpreted, of course, vibe, character, association, any kind. So for Angelia, of course, I'm going to say The Catcher in the Rye, as this is a book that is near and dear to both of our hearts, and we both talk about it a lot. Michael, I'm going to say, if Michael were a book, he would be a Thor omnibus. Michael is reading the complete Thor catalog, and Michael would definitely be a superhero. And if not Thor, he would be John Carter of Mars from the Barsoom series by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Steve would be a Superman omnibus, or Superman for all seasons. And I think that should be self-evident why I think that. And MJ would be a book that I have read that was written by Sharon Salzberg, who is a practitioner of meditation, and she's written many books about this. And the book that MJ would be by Sharon Salzberg is Loving Kindness: The Revolutionary Art of Happiness. Salzberg specifically teaches the meditation of loving kindness. That is, learning to bring love to oneself and self-care, and then wishing love outwardly to the rest of the universe, to everyone that one encounters in the past, in the present, and even in the future. It's a meditation practice that teaches us compassion for self and others, and that's the book that MJ would be. Okay. Next, Ellen asked me to tell about a memory from my teaching career, silly or important, as long as I haven't talked about it in another video. So I'm going to talk about the coffee house tradition that I instituted in the school where I taught the longest, where I taught for 31 years of my career. Through the literary magazine that I advised, we used to do coffee houses twice a year, and they were events where students, faculty, parents would read their creative writing, and they would play music. They would play their music, and this was, usually just a wonderful celebration of the arts and of community. I produced 48 of these shows in my time at this school system. But the last one that I produced was going to be canceled because of the pandemic. And what we did instead was that we created the coffee house virtually. And we had students and teachers and teachers from the past and students from the past submit videos of their performances, their readings, their music, and my editors-in-chief and I hosted this show for the public on Zoom, and we included, I forget how many people submitted works to this this coffee house, but it went on for 3 hours virtually, and people watched it from their homes all over the state. And I had students come back from the past 25 years of performing in these coffee houses, and they submitted their videos as well. And it was where we thought that it wasn't going to happen, and then it happened in this incredibly magnificent way. So that's a very, very special memory from my teaching career. Okay. Ellen asks, do you have a party trick? I don't know if that's a thing in the US, but some weird, useless, or fun talent. I'm afraid not. I'm sorry to disappoint. Definitely no party tricks and no weird talents. But these were delightful questions, Ellen. Thank you very much, and thank you for your support of my channel. And if you don't know Ellen, you need to check out Ellen Made Book Club. Ellen broadcasts from Sweden. Wonderful channel. Okay, so next I'm going to go to this is a subscriber, P4 Chen Norway, who I believe this is Patricia Ann. So she asks a number of questions also. She says, I would like to know if you will be leading your own channel read along and group discussion somewhere. I have already asked that question, but it never hurts to ask again. I think that's something I would like to do. I don't have firm plans right now for when I will do it. We had talked a little bit about maybe a John Irving read along, but I have some other thoughts also. I'm thinking probably in the fall, but we'll have to think about this further. She also asks, have I published any of my own writing? Not officially. Some online writing I have done that I guess has been published, but not really. Do you ever read advanced copies of books for review from publishing houses? I've only done it once so far. It's definitely something that I would like to do more of. She also asks, are you involved in your local library? I am. I'm a regular patron, and I donate big time to their book sales. I bring them bags of books frequently, several times a year. In fact, they have a book sale coming up next week, and I'm going to go just to see how many of the books that they're selling are mine. And I'm not going to buy anything back. Or do you spend time at a local bookshop? Sadly, all of the bookshops close to me have closed. Years ago, we had 2 bookshops right here in town, a new bookshop and a used bookshop, and they both have closed. They both closed a long time ago. And then we also had 2 Barnes and Noble not far, just a few miles away within driving distance, and they both have closed also within the last year. So I have to drive a pretty good distance to get to a Barnes and Noble right now, which I think is really sad. She also asks, do you have a little free library close to you where you take a book and leave one? Yes, we have one right here in my development, and we have them all over town. I have never taken a book from a little free library, but I keep the one here in my development well stocked. I donate to it regularly. She also asks, does the cover of the book influence you at all? No, not usually. I mean, I can appreciate a beautiful book cover, but I don't buy books or take them out of the library based on the cover. The only time the cover really influences me is in a negative way. If there are images from TV series or movies on the cover, I'm not a fan of those. But I don't tend to get books based on the cover. Okay, thank you for those questions. Next, I have some questions from another subscriber, Corinne Armstrong 4451. And Corinne says, I have a couple of questions. If you could be a character from a book, who would you be? And the first thing that I thought of was Encyclopedia Brown. A series, a children's book series that I loved when I was a little kid. I just adored him. I wanted to be him. Smart little kid who went around solving mysteries in his neighborhood. So that's kind of where I went. I went to children's books. And then I also thought of Matilda. I loved her. I loved her in the book. I did love her in the movie also. I wouldn't mind being Matilda, though she has kind of as one of my friends pointed out, she has a pretty disturbing home life and a pretty disturbing school life too, until she meets Miss Honey, and then her life changes for the better. And then I also thought I would like to be the character Kate Fansler. In a couple of videos ago, I showed my Amanda Cross mystery selection, and the detective in those books is Kate Fansler, who is actually an English professor at a very prestigious university in New York City. And she goes around in a very literary way solving crimes, and I think that would be really cool. A lot of my friends say that I could have been a detective, so there's something there. Okay, Corinne also asks, if you were to invite 3 characters from books for a meal, who would you invite and what would you give them to eat? So I'm going to invite Holden Caulfield from my favorite The Catcher in the Rye. I'm going to invite Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice, and I'm going to invite Demon Copperhead from Barbara Kingsolver's novel of last year. And I would feed them Italian food. I would feed them something that my mother would have made, a lasagna, a baked ziti, a pasta vazzoule, something Italian. Okay. Which writer, dead or living, would you like to meet to discuss their writing with? Dead, I would like to talk to Nuala O'Foilan, the Irish writer, mostly a journalist and a memoirist. I would love to talk with her. I've been reading her a lot just since this past March. And living, I would love to sit down with Barbara Kingsolver or Louise Erdrich, two of my favorites. And finally, if you were to write a novel, which genre would it be in? I probably wouldn't write a novel. I don't think I'm skilled enough to write a novel. I would write a memoir, and that is something that I have dabbled in and something I'm sort of loosely working on. So memoir, probably not a work of fiction. Okay, thank you for those questions. Those were wonderful. Next, I'm going to go to That's What She Read, and this is a former student of mine. This is Kristen. And Kristen asks about, Kristen, who was my student, asks about favorite books to teach to high schoolers, and were there any in the curriculum that I wished that I didn't have to teach. And I actually did address this when Ollie asked about what I didn't want to teach. I don't know, a couple of different people have asked about this, so I did talk about this in episodes 1 and 2. But just to recap, my favorites to teach: 9th grade, To Kill a Mockingbird; 10th grade, The Great Gatsby and The Catcher in the Rye; 11th grade, Lord of the Flies and Macbeth; and 12th grade, probably because I taught a bunch of different courses on the 12th grade level, The Kite Runner, Hamlet, The Green Mile, and Pride and Prejudice. Those were all favorites. And the one that I wished I didn't have to teach, which I didn't have to teach, was Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter. And I know Kristen read that when she was in high school. And she probably, I don't know how Kristen remembers it. I didn't have Kristen that year. But it was a slog. It was hard for kids to get through. And as I said in another video, we decided to stop teaching it. They were too young. And we just introduced Hawthorne through a couple of short stories, and that was more than enough. Okay, thank you, Kristen. Okay, next, Diane S. Loftis. Okay, so Diane says, a huge congratulations. I'm so happy that you have kept on. I love your channel. Okay, my questions are, do you keep a book journal or a reading log as a way to keep track of your reading, etc.? Yes, I do. I keep a reading log and I keep a journal of my reading. She also asks, do you have a bookmark collection? No, I don't, and I wish that I did. That would be a beautiful thing to have. I love bookmarks, and I have some, real bookmarks, that nice bookmarks, but I have a lot of scraps of paper and, you know, things that come inside magazines and, a lot of junk that I use as bookmarks. So I would love to have a bookmark collection. And then she says, if so, do you have a favorite one? No, but if I had a collection, I would have a favorite one. Have you ever tried a recipe, craft, project, etc. from a book that you've read? Sadly, no. I know that there are some wonderful books of recipes that are written from writers, from novels, and I should really follow up on something like that, but I have never done so. And I have about zero talent or ability to do a craft or a project based on a book that I read. So I can appreciate it in others, can't do it myself. And then finally, Diane asks, is there a story behind the beautiful gold necklace and charm that you wear in most of your videos? Yes, there is. And thank you for asking about that. This is a cartouche, and it was a gift from my Aunt Dot, who was one of my father's sisters. My father had, he was the youngest of 6 children, and he had 3 older sisters, and this came from his sister, my Aunt Dot, who is also my godmother, and she gave me this shortly before she passed away. She lived to be almost 100 years old, and she is still a vibrant presence in my heart and mind. So this is Aunt Dot. And in some of my videos, you can also see a picture in the background. You can see somebody taking or holding her sunglasses, and that's Aunt Dot also. When she was serving in World War II, she was a Navy wave during World War II, and that's a picture of her from that time. Thank you for that question. Okay, I'm still not done. I don't want these videos to go on too long, and I'm really worried about trying people's patience. So I'm going to end volume 3, and I think I'm going to finish this up in a 4th video, and I apologize to you that this is taking so long, and I hope I'm not losing you. But more to come. A few more really wonderful questions coming. But I don't want to put them. I don't want them to be in a 30 or 40 minute video either. So as always, I thank you for supporting this channel. I thank you for watching. I hope that you're doing well. I'll speak with you again soon. Take care.